Hello, friends. My name is Dane Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain, and we are a podcast, and the podcast is Fuck Buddies. Welcome.
We are a dating and sex advice show where we take your sticky, sexy situations and turn them into sexy, sticky situations.
Simply put, we take questions either from our lovely listeners or from the social medias, and we answer them for you.
And we're recording this on Wednesday, January 6th.
2021.
And it's fucking buck wild, y'all.
Yeah. There's I don't know, a bunch of terrorists have stormed the Capitol building in America right now. So that's a fun backdrop to this shit.
And look, I know Canada's not a perfect place. I know there's a lot of things we need to fix, especially when it comes to like Indigenous communities and stuff like that. But I've never been happier to be Canadian.
Yeah, America's really let the ball drop lately. But yeah, hopefully the people who are, decent folk and not involved are safe today, and hopefully all the fucking idiots get arrested. But we've already noted a stark fucking response with regards to these protests and the BLM shit, so I don't have much hope for that. I don't know. Anyway, I think should we ignore not ignore it, but should we not delve into what's a depressing and
I would feel remiss if we didn't mention it, but we've mentioned it. I think everyone knows our stance on Trump and his politics. So I think we're just going to, I don't know what it's going to look like on Monday when this comes out. Hopefully not as fucking buck wild.
Hey,
but
well, let's make predictions here. I'm gonna guess he realizes the error of his ways through some kind of personal epiphany, and he's just gonna be like, "Guys, my bad. I'm sorry. I'm gonna step down."
I'm an underdog better, so I was going to say the same thing. I think 100% he's going to apologize for everything he's done over the past 4 years.
Yeah, of course.
And really try to set things right.
Well, the thing is, he is, like, say one thing about him, he is famed for his beautiful apologies. Even today, his very eloquent speech driving people away from the Capitol building when he kept repeating, "They stole this election," which was a very soothing phrase and not at all going to rile them up.
Yeah, if there's one thing President Trump is known for, it's his humility.
Yeah. So we can rely on that to save that. God, I can't even keep this joke up. What a fucking asshole. He better be in jail by Monday. All right, let's go.
Let's do it. You go first.
Okay, well, we're gonna kick off with a nice softball from one of our listeners on Twitter.
Okay.
This is from B, Agent B. So my boyfriend has a Twitter and we don't follow each other. Like, should I be mad about this situation? Help.
Yes, you should, and here's why. I got nothing.
Well, those numbers, those follows is money. As we clearly know, we're pumping out the follows every day we can. Follows is money. Boyfriend should support your money.
Does anyone really take Twitter seriously anymore?
No, everybody takes Twitter. People take Twitter way too seriously, in fact.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Being genuine, like, I don't see any reason you would be mad at this person unless for some reason your followers or your follow number is actually very important to you and you have talked to your boyfriend and he just refuses to, because that would be weird. But if they just have one and it kind of like, because a lot of people don't use Twitter. In fact, I had a Twitter for years that I just kind of like let fester, and it became an unofficial Spanish fan page for Niall from One Direction, which is what happens if you leave your Twitter for too long unattended. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who are like, "Yo, Niall, why the fuck do you not follow me?" And I just had one but did not use it. So the only situation I could see being mad at your boyfriend as being any way reasonable is if for some reason you're some kind of influencer or podcast, hint, please follow us, that needs those follows, and you've talked to him about it and he refused to. If he just hasn't so far, maybe just talk to him.
Especially if your like handle is something really fucking obscure. Because it's one thing like on Facebook, if you guys were dating, you both have Facebook and were friends, that'd be weird because it's very easy to find each other on Facebook because it's your name. Mm-hmm. But on Twitter, you could be like Sparkle Sugar Baby 6912874 _ LOL.
And it's like, so you saw this question too. You have their handle.
It's like, I don't know how you're supposed to find those people. So yeah, it's like if you haven't asked him to do it and he hasn't done it, then like, I don't know, is he a big tweeter? Yeah, it's not a big deal. But like you said, if you're like, hey, please do it, it's important to me, and he's like, no, yeah, maybe I guess you have a little bit of right to be upset at him.
Yeah. Other than that, I wouldn't worry about it.
No, not at all.
All right, hit me.
This comes from International Clique 3. Am I a slut? So I'm 22, and I feel like I have a very high sex drive. When I find a guy that I like, my mind is going straight to the bed. Not even like romantic, chill lovemaking, but some hardcore shit. I'm assuming not all guys are down for that, and it makes me uncomfortable. In my country, women are expected to be in the receiving end of things, and I'm very aggressive at times. Quarantine is making things even worse. How do I deal with the judgment of others and my own emotions of guilt? Sorry in advance, English is not my first language.
It sucks that your country makes you feel that way, but like, there's no such thing as a slut, right? It's just
Yeah.
a term we kind of made up that kind of has no bearing on real life. And it definitely, if you do want to use it, shouldn't come with this shame attached or this like judgment or anything. It's like, oh wait, you're into sex and you have sexual fantasies about people you meet who are attractive. Yeah, that's everybody, pretty much. You know what
It's
I
a
mean?
pretty normal thing, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just a massive pity that like the culture, and let's be fair, like general culture is like that, especially with regards to women, unfortunately. Um, and I think that sucks. But no, you're not a slut, at least not in any bad sense.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because like the term slut is really what I wanted to talk about with this question.
Hmm.
It's such a like it stood to be a way to indicate women who were like promiscuous back when that was as a society deemed inappropriate or undesirable.
Unacceptable, really.
Yeah, and it's like I know that there are still obviously countries and places and regions
Hmm.
in the world that this is still unacceptable, but like we're moving towards a world, hopefully, I mean, we're trying to get us there as well, at least, of where how much sex you have or how much sex you want to have, as long as you're doing it in a healthy and respectful and adult way, it
Hmm.
doesn't really matter. It has no bearing on your worth, whether you're asexual and just have absolutely no romantic or no sexual desire at all,
Hmm.
or if you're someone who wants to have sex with like three people a day.
Hmm. Or three people at once, or
Yeah.
different genders, or it shouldn't fucking matter. And like even just saying like judging someone's worth based on that is it's just a wildly dumb. It's a wildly dumb thing. You know what I mean? Never should have happened, and it definitely shouldn't still exist. And yes, as you said, some countries it definitely fucking does, and even in general, it's like Canada's pretty liberal and accepting, but there's still like you know there's still
Oh
that
yeah.
kind of like sense lurking. It's never too far off. It's getting better all the time, but um, but no, fuck it, you're not a slut at all.
Especially like if you're not doing
Well,
anything. If
that's
you
that's
just
another thing. It's like even by the worst, like even by kind of like if we want to go by like the bad sense of the word, thinking about it is that's nothing.
yeah, I mean like if we're all morally corrupt for like, just having sexual fantasies or even just sexual thoughts, hey, guess what? We're all fucked.
Oh yeah,
Because it's one of the most common things that human beings think about. Again, outside of, asexual people and that kind of stuff,
yeah.
it's a very common thing our brain goes to, especially when you're in front of people that you're attracted to.
Hmm.
And that is something you don't really get to choose who you're physically attracted to.
No.
That is a chemical and biological response that our body does. It's like, yeah, we can tailor kind of who we're attracted to by getting to know them, blah blah blah. But if you're attracted to someone, you're attracted to them. And if your mind wanders into the sexual territory, which, let's be fair, it's probably going to happen,
Hmm.
then you've done nothing wrong.
You shouldn't let people shame you for that, and you definitely shouldn't shame yourself for it. So fuck that.
Yeah. And it's like, I understand that you might be living in a place where this could be dangerous for you to act upon.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm sorry for, that really sucks. And I hope at some point in time you can live through a sexual revolution for yourself and see yourself achieve sexual freedom. I
Hmm.
don't really have anything to like other than moving
Yeah,
or
that's like it's easier than you think moving to another country and starting a whole new life. I did it.
and let me tell you, if English isn't your first language, I couldn't have told from that.
Oh yeah,
Like,
that's like sometimes when you see that, you're like, oh okay, now I understand like the odd stutter. That one was perfectly written though,
yeah,
so don't worry about it. Hopefully, like you find like a place or a time or a person with which you can be safely free. But until then, like even if the places around you and the people around you are judgmental and whatnot, don't be that way to yourself because that's unfair.
yes.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Well, this is another one off Twitter. This is from Agent Stegosaur. Is it wrong to cheat with other women when it is usually just online and if she doesn't find out?
Now, the phrasing of this question is interesting because perhaps he's not talking about his partner finding out. Perhaps he's talking about the woman he's cheating with.
But okay, okay, hold on. You keep going with this because I have a very pertinent flaw with that. But continue.
So he's having an affair with someone who doesn't know they're involved in an affair with.
Okay.
The same way that, like, people on Instagram end up like getting into these sort of like emotional attachments to celebrities or, Instagram models and stuff like that. Because that's, I'm just saying, maybe that's what he's talking about.
So he's putting people in relationships they don't even know about who are in other relationships.
No, I'm saying he's in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and because it says like, even if the woman doesn't know. I'm saying maybe the woman he's like, so he's got his partner and then he's got his mistress. Maybe his mistress doesn't know that she's involved with him.
That sounds very creepy. There's no way that that's possible unless he's doing some very creepy things, Dane.
Well, I'm not saying he's doing anything because he's saying it's just online. Maybe he's like following her and liking her posts. Maybe that's his form of cheating.
Well, okay, that's a very important actual thing we're going to talk about, I think, is like distinctions of cheating. But like, let's just answer this. Is it wrong to cheat, Dane?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, but if it's usually just online, is it
I,
wrong to cheat?
again, does the person know? Yes. Yes. It's yeah.
I'm assuming if she doesn't find out, it's talking about his partner.
Yes. I also am assuming
I
that.
can, what I
This is
love
why
about
syntax is important and grammar is important,
it's
friends.
it's true. What I love about this question is that like he's trying to weasel out of responsibility a little bit by saying if it's usually just online, which makes it two things clear. One, he realizes that it's bad doing it in person, or at least
Yeah.
worse doing it in person. But two, that it's also happened in person.
Yeah. I guess if he says usually.
Right. Like if it's usually online, that means it has also been not online. So it's like in one way you're trying to soften the blow, but you're also admitting to having like done it in person. I'm going to go out with a resounding yes. Yes,
Yes,
is
it
it
is
wrong?
okay.
No, yes, it is
Oh,
wrong.
all right. Yes, he says, "Is it wrong?"
Is it wrong?
Yeah, yeah. None of this is okay.
Like
Being
you're
unfaithful to your partner is never a good excuse, regardless of like. We could talk about abusive relationships and how hard it is to leave and that kind of stuff. And there's always exceptions to the black and white, but like 9 times out of 10, being unfaithful to your partner is the worst choice you can make.
yeah, I find it hard to believe that there's a situation where it's safer or better to cheat instead of just ending things because if things are that bad, then I don't want to know how much worse they get when the abuser finds out they're being cheated on. You know what I mean? But again, like I feel like in this podcast we should never really speak in absolutes. So
Yeah,
I do agree that nothing is ever cut and dry, but like cheating in general is bad. You raised a really good point earlier when you mentioned like what cheating constitutes to other people, right? So it's like your idea of cheating might not be someone else's idea of cheating, etc. I think that's important for this question. But in another sense, it's not important at all because part of me was like, oh, well, maybe what he's doing isn't cheating necessarily by their standards. But the thing is, if you think it's cheating, which he said obviously does, because he says if you cheat,
yes,
then you know it's bad because you're doing what you consider cheating.
yeah. Because like he's not asking something that is objective, really. You know what I mean? He's not being like, is eating a certain amount of sugar every day bad? It's like, because you can be like, well, if you work out, you can balance it out, blah blah blah. But like, you're straight up being like, I'm doing a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it
Is it?
wrong?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, it is. You know it is because you've used a label that is used specifically for this bad thing.
Yeah. And like doing it just online, it's still cheating. If she never finds out, it's still cheating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like if the question was, I sometimes flirt with people online. Or I flirt with people usually just online. Is it wrong? It's like, well, okay, there's a little bit of gray area there.
Yeah.
Because that's not necessarily cheating, and you can sort of like discuss the parameters of your relationship and trust, yada yada. But
Mhm.
like, you've declared it as cheating.
Yeah.
So you've made the line in the sand, being like, I am in bad territory.
And like, if the question was, if I kill someone but the police don't find out, is it a wrong? No, it doesn't matter who finds out and who doesn't. It's
Yeah,
not a like tree falling in the woods situation. It is just bad. I'm sorry, dude. Shouldn't be
it's
doing
just
this.
and like cheating, if done quote unquote correctly, people don't find out. That's kind
Yeah.
of the point of it. So like,
Mhm. Yeah. I'm sorry, dude. It is bad. It is wrong. Just either break up with your partner and pursue these relationships, or don't cheat on them, online
yeah,
or not. Like,
and don't try to like soften the blow by sugarcoating things, being like, it's just online though, because
mhm,
that is still a meaningful way to cheat.
I don't know what else to say, dude. Sorry, but it is definitely wrong.
Okay, are you ready? This comes from our good friends. We actually gave her a shout out last week. This comes from Ancient Kingdom, all the way
Hell
from the
yeah.
Philippines.
Hell yeah.
She has a bit of a doozy of an email. I'm gonna read it all, except for some of the personal stuff because she said some nice things about us.
Yay. Why didn't you tell me these nice things, Dane?
Because they're all mine.
Oh.
So just a recap, if you missed the episode where Agent Kingdom sent her first email, because this is kind of a follow-up. She was seeing someone for a little bit, was kind of keeping it casual, then wanted to lock it down, but he ended up having to move and was like, I just want to focus on moving, I don't have time for anyone else, uh, and kind of dumped her. And then she was dealing with sort of like, the feeling of rejection. This email is more of the same things with past relationships. A lot of things have happened since my last email. Maybe I should write it down in bullet points. The guy I was with pertaining into in my last email actually said this like verbatim. I just don't want to keep holding on to something that it doesn't have or that I don't have room in my life for anymore. So for your sake, I think it's best that we don't talk, even as friends, and avoid contacting each other. I hope this gives you enough clarity to move forward, just as I have, because it's simply just that. I will not be replying anymore after this, but I wish you well. He said this after I asked to be friends. I think I was a little mean on his. No, I think it was a little mean on his part, since just because we had feelings for each other doesn't mean that we can't, or we can just throw away our friendship. I think that kind of sucks. Also, how is it simply just that? Was whatever happened between us that easy to shove aside? I understand that it's his choice, but I don't know. What do you think? LOL.
So I think he is probably like masking whatever he's feeling with this kind of cavalier, uh, cut and dry, this is where it is at situation. I also think it's very difficult to, like Agent Kingdom kind of hit on the head where it's like there are these feelings and there was more closeness. But I think that almost makes it harder to then transition away from where you were. Like for me, it's rare situations where I want to go from being close with someone and being romantically involved to friendships because it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to manage. It's very hard on people's emotions. I think we've many times told people not to do that in the podcast, kind of like as a matter of course. It's like get your space. Don't try to transition into this awkward like half life because it usually is very hard and doesn't really work.
Especially right away. Like, I
Yes.
think there is the ability to sort of like, I've done it with some of my exes where you can sort of like transition back into friendship, and that's fine, or at least acquaintancehood. Um,
But again, I do think you need that space.
oh, 100%. Yeah, there definitely needs to be a pause and a reset and sort of a bit of time to let the dust settle before you try any sort of friendship thing again. Unless like
Yeah.
again, unless there is you tried something and it was like a short-term thing and it didn't really work. But like to have like a pretty solid romantic relationship transition seamlessly, almost immediately into a decent friendship would be difficult.
Yeah, I can understand where he's coming from if I while also agreeing that like the way he phrased it is not exactly kind.
Yeah, I mean there is something to also be said. It's like maybe this guy is just kind of a dick.
Yeah.
Like it it might not be what you want to hear because this is someone that you chose to like, invest time and effort into. But like sometimes people are just kind of shitty. And if that's the case, sorry, that sucks. I'm sorry he's kind of like, kicked you in the teeth while you were down. But
But on the upside, it's good that he sucks because then you're not missing out.
yeah, I think you should. I think you should look at this as a chance to be like, oh, okay, fuck this dude, and make it an easier way to break, as opposed to trying to scratch your head and be like, what did I do wrong, or feeling like closure is owed to you. And that, like, again, that sounds really harsh, but like this is a lesson I learned from my last relationship, where it's like sometimes you don't get closure.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to make it yourself. And like sometimes
I
people
think
being like,
most
I'm not.
times you need to make it yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it's like usually there isn't a clean answer, and if there is, it's rare you'll find someone willing to give it to you. You know?
yeah. So what I did was, one, I walled in self pity for a very, very long time because of it. So I'm not going to tell you to like not do that, because I think it is kind of important to the healing process to just sort of like, it's okay to feel like shit for a little bit, but you need to also then like take a moment, reflect, be like, okay, cool, this was a thing that happened, and I let it affect me, and then it kind of sucks, but like maybe take his advice and use this as a jumping off platform to move forward. Don't think about what could have been. Don't think about like what you could have done differently, unless there was a glaring thing that you feel like you did incorrectly. Then maybe register and be like, okay, moving forward, I will not do this thing anymore. Or it's there's all like, take this as a learning opportunity to look back, reflect on the relationship objectively, and sort of like scan over it, take learn your lessons wherever they may be, and then move forward.
Yeah. There's no harm thinking about it. The harm comes in obsessing about it. Give it a cursory thought. If there is anything glaring, consider it. You know what I mean? Just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean it's true. You know what I mean? We're always likely to be hypercritical of ourselves. And there is no harm in just thinking and seeing, analyzing what happened. But like, it could be this guy's just a dick. It could be he's just clumsy with his emotions, and like the best way for him to express himself was this, which doesn't make it much better. Um, but also, it is really hard for people to transition seamlessly to friends. So maybe he knew that and just didn't know how to get that across in a kind of an adult way. Um, I would also hasten or to remind you to like, don't ignore all the good things from that relationship. Like, they still happened. Still like be happy for the fact that they happened, and moving forward, you'll be better equipped to deal with your next relationship. It's always been, at least for myself, you take these relationships on and you learn from them. The next one is better because you've learned a lesson and you're a stronger person.
Oh
So
yeah,
so take this as that stepping stone, and it was good while it lasted, and it's his loss.
like I literally don't think I would be able to date Amanda without my past relationships.
No.
You know what I mean? Like the things I learned from those, especially like her as a burlesque dancer and all that stuff. Like my jealousy
Hmm.
without my previous relationships, my jealousy was terrible.
Yeah.
I think this would have been a very, very bad relationship had I not suffered through the learning processes of other failed relationships.
Yeah.
So try to keep that in mind and be like, this is the learning process. You're never going to nail it, and even when you find a great relationship with someone that you care about, who cares about you, there's still going to be like tough times that you have to learn a lesson from to
Mhm.
move forward to get stronger. It's
And,
just the way life is.
and sometimes the lesson you learn isn't necessarily you changing, it's you knowing not to go for X type of person, or it's you learning the warning signs sooner.
Yeah.
But like, I'm sorry it ended that way. I do honestly believe it is their loss, but fuck it, onwards and upwards, bigger and better things.
Now we get to part two of the email.
Oh dang.
There's three parts.
Okay.
I realized I still love my ex, the one that I was in a 4-year relationship, but he doesn't want to get back together anymore. I sent him this long ass message for Christmas, basically apologizing profusely and telling him how much I still love him and miss him. He just said, I hope you find what you're looking for and that you find happiness and peace. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I understand that as exes, it's kind of awkward, but I kind of feel like he could have said something more. He also said that in the past, he doesn't want to get back together because I've had my sexual encounters and sex to him is something so pure and holy, and you should only have it with someone you love. I respect his beliefs, albeit completely different from mine, but I just wish this wasn't something we can't compromise on.
Hmm. So I am a big supporter of the "don't get back with your ex" camp.
Hmm.
I generally think it's a disaster all the time, and I've almost entirely like I've never very much been yeah, words. I think it's rare that I've been proven wrong on that, at least in what I've seen. Especially when it seems to have kind of fallen apart on this weird, like fundamental, like maybe religious level, or like because it's usually a religious belief that has that kind of sex is holy thing to it.
Yeah.
Which also, like, I lost. I don't know. I don't want to say I lost respect for him once I heard that, but it does sound very slut shamey. You know what I mean? Like, I'm breaking up with you because your past sexual
100%.
experience. It's like fuck that guy. You know. Um, as to the response, it is a little cold in terms of like he doesn't really get it. It's almost a little impersonal, but it's not unkind. You know what I mean? Like I can understand why you might be a little bit upset about it, but like if he has made his like position clear and you're kind of like coming out of nowhere with the long email, I think in a lot of situations people could be worse. You know what I mean? They could be either never replying or like, you know, inflammatory. So I don't think it's maybe the worst, you know, because if nothing has changed with regards to that situation, like if he still believes the same, you've definitely not slept with any less people since you hooked up with him. Um, so I think like at the very least he knows where he's coming from, and like he did send you at least positive wishes. You know, I think it might just be that could be the closure you need to move on.
Hmm.
You know, because like I don't know. I feel like going back to sex is a bad idea anyway. It's definitely a bad idea when you bring his beliefs in. And like obviously not the response you were looking for, but like if the situation hasn't changed, which I'm guessing it hasn't, then probably the best kind of response you could get, you know? I don't think they're going to be talking through their like your issues because you guys aren't together and it's like his issue is already set in stone and he knows that hasn't changed.
Now, I think there's actually 4 bullet points, but the two last ones go together.
Do you have anything to
And
add on that one?
no, because I think the final little bit kind of paints the full picture, and then we'll talk about it as a complete
Oh, you let me jump
conundrum.
in there blind. Okay.
No, I think what you said was valid advice. I started seeing this guy who I also got along with really well, and we just really hit it off. It started getting complicated when he told me he actually had a girlfriend and that I was his side chick. I ended up playing along. Yes, I know this was a stupid choice, but I just really enjoyed his company. Flash forward a couple weeks, he tells me that he doesn't want me to see anyone else. I think that was kind of unfair, especially since I was his side chick and he was the one with the girlfriend.
The fuck does this guy get off? Who like the cheek, the sheer neck of this fucker.
He ended things with me as well because I didn't want to be exclusively his, and he made it seem like I was the one at fault. Even with the other sexual encounters, I feel like these guys that I've met just end up treating me like a piece of meat that they have sex with, which makes me feel disgusting after. I feel like I can't just seem to catch a break. After all this, my friends keep telling me to get off dating for what bit and find myself or something. I honestly think I'm pretty sure of myself and what I want. I've been doing the things that I love, working out and reading books and focusing on my career. I keep thinking if I'm the one at fault or if I'm just not good enough for a good and healthy relationship, or is the dating scene really just that shitty in the 21st century? I completely understand that all these guys have made their own choices and I can't do anything about it, but let me know your thoughts. Should I keep trying to date or take some time off for myself?
Okay, let's first talk about what a spectacular dickhead that guy is.
Also, before we
Um,
get into it, she does say, P.S. Agent Sloan says hi.
awesome. Hi, Agent Sloan. You
Hello,
guys are
Agent Sloan.
great. Fuck that guy. And by that, obviously, I mean do not fuck that guy. But like, That is the kind of shit that like I can't even believe is real. Like, not that I'm
It's
casting doubt on it. I just hate that it's real.
yeah.
Like, that is one of the like most mind bafflingly disgusting and shitty things I've heard. Fuck that guy. Man, send him this episode just so I can say, fuck you, man, you dumb fuck. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you like, oh my god, you suck. And I'm not sorry, I'm pissed off. But you also like you cannot let disgusting people like that influence your thoughts or your self-worth or your self-view, your view of yourself, because that has nothing to do with you. He made the choice to be shitty. You know what I mean? Maybe you shouldn't have been dating a guy who was cheating on his girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, but that's doesn't mean you deserve that treatment. And it's also a different issue entirely because, like, again, you're not the one that made the, the compact, the agreement to be in the date. You're definitely less in the wrong than they are, or than he is. But even still, that's a different issue. We've talked about that. We're all on the same page. This guy sucks. As to whether you should date or take some time, that's entirely up to you. If you feel like you should take some time, take some time. If you feel like you want to date, date. It. I know that sounds like the dumbest response to that question, but like different people go through different things. Your friend telling you to take some time and spend it on yourself, that might work for them. It might not work for you. I know people who after a bad relationship, they turn off the dating jets for months. You know what I mean? Uh, or they just jump right back in there. I'm definitely more of the jump right back in there kind of person. And it's I've been through some fucking. There was a period where I dated people who were just terrible, and it really made me question my self-worth. And I think like you either being tricked by someone, because like everyone puts the best foot forward when they're dating, and it takes you a little bit to find out who the real person is. That's not your fault, and you do learn to spot the signs quicker. And also it's just like you not spotting the signs, that's also not an indictment of you as a person. You'll get better at those things, and it's just you gotta learn from your mistakes and keep trucking.
So I'm gonna sort of jump on what Niall said, and well, yes, ultimately you have to make the call whether you want to keep dating or not. Me, however, am going to tell you stop dating, and and here's why. Because everything you've explained feels like me, like 5 or 6 years ago. When I went through my breakup with my last girlfriend, I was pretty much in the situation that you were in, and there were very, very similar circumstances. I felt like I didn't get closure. She refused to talk to me any further, and I was kind of left in this like limbo of feeling like I wasn't good enough, feeling insecure, feeling like I had no self worth. And what I ended up doing was I ended up becoming so dependent on having sex with people and meeting new people and dating new people. And I required that validation so badly that I sort of lost all sense of myself. It became very much a focus for me that like I would get actually depressed if I wasn't able to go on a date with a new person or sleep with a new person, because I felt like if I wasn't able to do that, I wasn't a valid person, or I wasn't good enough, or my insecurities just sort of like took over me in a comical bad mouth style way.
mean big mouth?
Big mouth, yes. What did I say? Bad mouth?
Bad mouth.
Yeah, big mouth style way. And like there was like, some wild ass cartoon character who would literally pin me down and be like, "You're a piece of shit." Um, so I'm seeing a lot of myself in you. And what really, really helped me through it, and what sort of like slapped me back into reality, and Niall was a big part of this, was I invested my time and energy in non-romantic relationships. I invested in friendships. I invested my time and my effort and my love into my friends. And I think that like that literally, I could probably say saved my life. I'm not saying I was on the verge of killing myself or anything like that, but like it literally put me on a completely different path, a much happier and healthier path than I was on. Learning that love isn't reserved for, the one or the person who's going to come and sweep you off your feet, or the person you really get along with. Love isn't just for those people. Love is for the people who are telling you not to date right now because they are looking out for you, or, encouraging you for whatever reason, or talking you through. Like, take a second and invest in them for a bit. It's tough because it's quarantine. I don't know what your protocols are, but like, really, really focus on cultivating your romantic relationships, because then when you have a culture and you have a circle of people that you are getting all the love and encouragement and support that you need from them, you don't need that from your romantic partner. And then you can focus on, like, this is my romantic partner. I don't need them to make me feel like I'm worth something, because I have an entire support system behind me that makes me feel like I'm worth something.
And then you don't need them, you want them. You've chosen them, you know?
Exactly. And you will quickly, and like, yeah, you're going to go through rejection again. It's probably almost inevitable. But when that rejection happens, you're not going to be crushed by it as much as you are this time, because you have those people who are being like, hey, fuck that guy. And hopefully we can be those people in the interim, because fuck these guys,
Oh man.
regardless of what they've done right or wrong, except for the last guy. He's a piece of shit and I hate him.
Oh, such a piece of shit. Like just if I hope somehow you listen and you're just the worst. I just want you to know that. Get your shit together and stop being a garbage human. And you know
Yeah.
what's funny is my response, I didn't even take in the other bullet points into my response because I was so sidetracked by this guy. Because to me, the fact that like the message to your ex coupled with this, I think is a red flag that maybe Dane is completely right that you should take a breath, because it's like if you're feeling all these feelings of like rejection and like no closure and like feelings for people who are, sometimes it can be easy to sink yourself into relationships where you would previously not be, I don't want to use the word desperate, but it's like you overlook red flags because you're looking for a lot more. You know what I mean? You're looking for validation. You're looking to like ease that wound. And again, we've all done it. There's nothing wrong with it. Like there's no shame in it, but like it's not something we would recommend. So I do definitely side, I think, with Dane. But if you do want to continue dating or seeing people, you have to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. That you're actually enjoying it and you're actually honestly doing it. And you're not just trying to like put a temporary band-aid on you know, your soul.
Here was my moment when I was like, oh, I can actually start pursuing meaningful romantic relationships again. And it was when I stopped asking myself if I was good enough. When I stopped wondering, and I mean that like as like a prevalent thought. Obviously, every now and then it's going to creep up on you. It happens to everyone. It still happens to me. But like when it stops being the first thing you think of when you want to ask someone out, or you want to swipe right on someone, when the thought of like, am I good enough, like, should I even bother, if that's if that starts fading away and you don't hear that voice as loud, that's usually a good indication that you've like made some progress. And I really, really recommend that you do whatever you need to silence that voice, because it doesn't matter where you've been, who you've been with, the choices you've made. You matter, and you're good enough, because like the outside requirements of that don't mean anything, because what you're asking is, am I good enough from that guy's perspective? And that doesn't mean anything. At the end of the day, it means nothing. What you should ask yourself is like, am I doing what's best for me? Am I good enough to myself? Like, that's really the only person you need to impress, and the only person you need to be good enough for is yourself.
Yeah, you're the one that matters. And you're also the one that knows you, right? Like those fuckers don't know you yet. You know what I mean? That one fucker with the girlfriend, I very much doubt invested the time in knowing you. So he has no idea what he's missing out on and who he's fucking around and who he's just being a complete dickbag to. What a piece of shit.
Because I promise you, and you even said it in the email, you knew you were doing something
Mhm.
stupid. Like, you said that, you admitted to it, and I promise you. And this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying it's like, you don't have to be good enough for other people. You have to be good enough for yourself. You let yourself down when you did that. I know this is going to sound harsh and maybe not what you want to hear, but it's going to be some tough love, because I think this is what you need. Um, You
You're-
let yourself down when you did that.
yeah, you are worth
And
so much more than that, and you know it, and we know it. And I'm so glad you knew it well enough when he pushed things because, like, you know, like he went too far, and you had to draw the line. But like the line was so much further back because you are so much better than that.
yeah. So what that ended up manifesting, when you let yourself down, you internalize that and sort of like flip it on its head, and we're like, oh, I'm not good enough for these people. And it's like, no, no, that's not what happened. You know what I mean? Like, these people didn't leave because you weren't good enough for them. I can't tell you why they left. I can't tell you why they're being like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I can't give you
Well,
those answers.
the fucking latest guy left because you had a backbone and you had self-respect because he
Yes.
wanted someone who was willing to be his, I guess, object, right? Like, I'm going to give up everything while I know you have a girlfriend and just kind of wait on your beck and call. Like, that guy left you because you were so much better than he was, and he knew that he couldn't handle with that.
And
uh,
I think that should be like, that should be your starting point. You know what I mean? Like, that's awesome. That's a badass move for you to put your foot down and draw the line in the sand. You should have done it earlier. And I'm going to be honest with you there. You should have done it way earlier. And by that I mean, like, probably shouldn't have gotten involved once he mentioned he had a girlfriend. But we
fuck
make mistakes.
yeah,
Whatever.
you learn from your mistakes and you did it when it counted, and showed him his fucking place, and now he's back to his miserable ass relationship.
But you've learned that lesson. And this is what, like, I will keep talking about lessons and learning and everything, because you learn the lesson right there, and hopefully you will carry it forward of being like, you won't do that anymore. You know what I mean? You will know that, like, you're worth more than that. And it's
Hmm.
true, you are. Everyone is. You are not someone's quote unquote side chick.
No, you're a badass.
It's funny you say. I literally said that in the message. Like, I was like, I'm not going to get into it because I want to talk about it on the show. But I was like, I just want to remind you that you're a badass.
Mhm.
And it's like plain and simple. That is the attitude you have to go forward. So do what you can. I know it's harder than just being like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about it anymore, because
Man,
it's not that simple.
if things were as easy to do as it was for us to say them, the world would be fucking just like, so, like, it would be a better place. But everything's tough, and unfortunately, it is very easy for us to say things. It's a lot harder for them to be enacted. But we think you're fucking awesome, and I have zero doubts that you will be able to do these and to move forward in a better place.
Yeah, but you do have to make the conscious choice to be like, I'm going to make a change. You know what I mean? You can't let this become a pattern. You can't fall into it. You need to, if you're in a pit right now, you need to start climbing. And it's not going to be an easy climb, probably. But I promise you, you'll get out if you keep doing it and you keep, using the support of your friends and investing in non-romantic relationships. I promise you, you will get out of that hole, and you will never fall down it again.
No, that's not true because it's very possible that you might, start seeing someone and make a mistake and they end up being a shitbag too. And all I wanted to say before we left this question was that, like, that isn't an indication on your worth either, just because you made mistakes. You know what I mean? Because you
Sorry,
start
yes.
seeing someone and you think, so it's not like you're out of the hole and you'll never make a mistake again. Because then when the mistake happens, which will inevitably happen, unfortunately, dating is a cesspool. It's no reflection on your worth. You know what I mean? Once you're not overlooking things, right? Like, the thing I had to learn was to draw very hard lines on the red flags instead of making excuses, ignoring them, rationalizing them, or just living with them. You know what I mean? I just started, like, maybe almost coldly cutting people out of my relationships because they weren't good for me or they weren't good in general. Instead of making excuses for people, and that's how I ended up founding, or I ended up finding one of the best people in the world. So it works.
Yeah. So I got carried away there. Yes, there's a very good chance that you might fall into a hole again.
Yeah, sorry, I know what you meant, but I just wanted to make sure that, like, making mistakes happens, and it is no indication on your own self worth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's how you deal with those mistakes and how quickly you leave them. You know what I mean? Leaving them, learning from them, dealing with them. Those are the important things. But you got this, and we have got your back.
Thank you for trusting us with this question. I hope it helps. I hope you figure it out. But just the takeaway you need to walk away with here is never wonder if you're good enough for someone.
Mhm.
Just stop doing that. If you can figure out a way, whatever you got to do to stop doing that, I promise you'll be in a much better place a week from now, a year from now, whatever.
And stop with the long emails to your ex. I'm sorry. It has to end.
Yeah, you need to take a page out of their fucking book and cut contact with them.
Yeah,
It,
like,
they are exes. They are in the past. You need to move on.
all right. This is by Anon Sweet. I'm not mysterious at all. And it gives me anxiety that people just will not be interested. My personality is pure, open, bubbly, super unfiltered. Thing is, people, when they know I'm super deep and sensitive. But I feel like people assume they can read me pretty initially, and that there's not much they don't know about me, and that destroys sexual attraction. I have strong boundaries, and I reckon my openness is a defense mechanism. I'm ashamed that I am quite sexually open. I feel like in my past I've been told I'm not sexy unless I'm coy and shy about it. So now I'm like, wow, I just mentioned something sexual. I'm embarrassing and unattractive. I don't know. Have I just got carried away with this whole stereotype of people being better than me because they're more shy and reserved? I hope so.
Is this a man or a woman?
This is a great question, to which I have no answer.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter.
No.
I mean, I guess it kind of does matter because being open sexually as a dude in I think in this sort of mindset probably means you're kind of gross,
True.
right? Like it probably means you're like saying things you shouldn't in times where you shouldn't.
I'm assuming it is a girl because they said I've been told I'm not sexy unless I'm coy and shy about it. So unless someone
Yes,
was like, dude, stop just asking for blowjobs, and that's how he read it. You know,
that
like,
that's
oh,
my
I can't walk
yeah,
into
that's
a
my
room and
concern.
whip my dick out. I guess I have to be coy and shy.
God, people don't like when I talk about how much I can ejaculate. I'm open sexually, guys. God. So that like that I think that is sort of like where I would really kind of like to know what camp we're in here.
I'm
Um,
assuming a woman.
I also kind of got lady vibes too.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, like these old fashioned people exist where dudes are like, oh, I should have to chase you, and you should be sort of like the receiver, like the question we had earlier. Um, but like coming from me as someone who enjoys women and enjoys sex, there is nothing hotter
Mhm.
than a woman A who knows what she's into and B is willing to communicate it.
Yep.
There is nothing hot, even if it's something I'm not into. Like I remember there was a woman who was like, "I'm really, really into having my ass ate," and I was like, "Well, not my speed. Not a big fan of it." But we found ways in which to please her through like usage of toys and stuff. And like I wouldn't have known this if she hadn't told me. And pleasing your sexual partner should be like one of the hottest experiences you have in a sexual relationship.
Mhm.
So I don't understand the idea, even though I understand like the social construct of like the demure woman,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense to me as a living breathing sexual person.
No, and I think that whole like, firstly, there is no one true way of sexiness. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh wait, you're not coy and shy. Damn, there's no way for you to be sexy now. That's just absolutely wrong. One person liked one thing and they told you it, and you're lending way too much weight to it. Which again, that's fine. Like it happens. I'm sure the person was not kind about it because I doubt it would have stuck in your head if it was a compliment instead of being like a if you were coy and shy, maybe you'd be hot. There is no one way. In fact, the only way to be unsexy, I think, is to try to do things in an unnatural way, right? If you were
Mm.
attempting to be coy and shy and quiet when you're actually, as you say, super bubbly and unfiltered, you probably come off like just the weirdest, strangest
So
person.
weird.
You also probably just would seem like you had diarrhea that you were barely holding in, which is what happens when I try to be quiet.
I
Uh,
have a regular in my bar who tried to do that. She's like one of the loveliest people, but she is, when you think like blonde cheerleader, like
mhm,
that archetype, like that's her.
mhm.
And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. It's just like she could, pep up a fucking, nursing home with the amount of energy that she has.
Mhm,
Um, and she was on a date at my bar, and she was literally like trying to be sort of like pensive and quiet and reserved. And I was like, "You look like you're a fucking serial killer." I was like, "You need to I don't know what you're doing. I don't know if you're like, because I when he went to the bathroom, I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, yeah, why? I was like, because you look like you're fucking like about to be murdered or you're going to do the murdering. And it never, when you go against your nature, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be so fucking weird.
Yeah, because you're not acting naturally, obviously, because you're going against your nature. And like, there's nothing less sexy than that. So fuck being mysterious, fuck being coy and shy, fuck being anything that you're not. The way to be sexy is to be confident. And to be confident, even if you're confidently shy, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying shy people can't be sexy because they're not like what you might think of as confidence. Like, if you're true to yourself, that's confidence. And
Yeah.
that is sexy.
Yeah. Being self assured that you are who you are and that's
Mhm.
just the way it's going to go. That's the sexy part. I can't tell you, like, it's funny. Again, being a bartender, it's one of the great joys of my work is people watching. And like, you can, the amount of people that I walk in and I'm like, you are incredibly sexy are 9 times out of 10 people I'm not attracted to
Mhm.
because they have this sort of like just presence of being like, this is who I am, I'm here. And it's like, whether it's the slightly overweight woman or the like weird geeky person or even like dudes who, again, I'm not attracted to men, but like I can watch a dude walk into a bar and be like, yeah man, you're gonna fucking kill it, like you're in good shape.
That's the thing. It's like there is no like I've seen people, like you could point at any trait, you know what I mean? Like someone who's really quick-witted and witty. And it's like if you're trying to be quick-witted and witty, it's not going to come off well.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Whereas if you are quick-witted and witty, you can 100% be super sexy when you're doing it. But like you also will be super sexy if you're not quick-witted and witty, if that's what you are. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like you just have to be confident and be yourself. You know what I mean? Fuck people who say you have to be coy and shy or anything that you're not. If they're not into you, good. Ditch them. Get someone who is into you.
Because the thing is, like, if you watch, like, just choose like 5 celebrities that you think are attractive and then watch them doing like press junkets. I promise you they're all going to have very different like personalities and jokes that they crack and ways that they like approach things. And it's like they're all attractive. You find all of them sexy, and yet they're all able to manifest different characteristics and personality. Like, yes, that is sex appeal. That is how
Mhm.
it works.
Yeah. And you'll also probably find yourself being more attracted to some and less attracted to others.
This all goes back to Agent Kingdom as well.
I
You know what I
know.
mean? Just fucking like, this needs to be the year that you just stop worrying about other people and stop worrying about what you think society wants from you and just be yourself,
Hmm.
be you. And it's like, it's such cliche fucking dating advice too,
Yeah, I
but
know, right?
it's the best dating advice.
Yeah. Yeah, and like by all means try to be a better you if it's genuine, right? And if it's like if you want to improve not change, I think is, hone your
'Cause,
blade, don't become a gun.
yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, but I'm a fucking, I'm a nerdy guy who plays video games and blah, blah. It's like, I hate to break it to you, but there are women out there that do that as well. And it's like, yeah, you might not get the fucking, pool bar Instagram model because like that might not be their vibe, but like that doesn't mean that there are no women out there that are attracted to the things you do.
But also, I know some cool bar Instagram models who are nerdy girls who play video games.
Yeah.
Like me and Dane are arguably very, actually, not even arguably, we are literally very nerdy. I write
Yeah.
fantasy novels. Dane streams on Twitch.
Do you know how much time I've invested in building RPG characters that I'll probably never play?
Yeah, we play Pathfinder, which is D&D, but more intense every
Yeah.
Monday.
It's a far nerdier version than the D&D you probably know.
It's got more math.
So much math. I have spreadsheets of feats that my character could take.
Like
This isn't a joke, friends.
right behind my computer right now are notes I have on a fictional fantasy world I'm writing about. Two of them,
Yeah,
three of them actually. Three different worlds. It's a lot of fake fantasy folk.
you can find, like, it doesn't matter what you're into, it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter your personality traits. As long as you're not a shitty person, then deal with that. Um, just be yourself and fucking rock it and own it and be like, this is who I am. And if people don't like it, then those aren't the people you're supposed to be with.
All right, we should probably end
Yeah,
this.
I could go on forever about how people should just be happy.
Hmm. And hopefully you will. Hopefully this preaching is not annoying and is
Yeah,
endearing because we do mean it, and you guys are all great. Unless you're
Uh,
that one fucker listening, in which
unless you're
case
that
you're still a shitbag.
unless you're that one fucking guy. I swear to God, we're gonna come to the Philippines at some point in time when the world allows us to travel again.
Mhm.
We're gonna find you.
And I'm gonna shake my head at you so slowly.
Oh, I'm gonna give you the dirtiest look. I'm not gonna touch you because that's illegal and a
Yeah.
crime.
Mhm.
We are travelers in a foreign country.
But my shame will be palpable.
Oh, you will be able to taste the disgust. Thank you very much for listening. Unless you're that one guy, fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Um, it is a pleasure to be here still. I really hope when this episode comes out, the world isn't as
Yeah,
fucked.
hopefully Monday is a brighter day.
Hopefully.
Can't be much darker.
Well,
So,
now you've done it.
well, fuck.
If you have a question and you want to reach out to us, we've had a bunch of Twitter and email questions today.
Mhm.
You can hit us up on Twitter at FCK_buddies. You can find us on Facebook at FCK Buddies Podcast. You can email us at fbuddiespodcast@gmail.com. You can find us online at fbuddiespodcast.com or plentyofbeef.ca. That's right. I did renew it. It cost me
Hell yeah.
$20 this month or this year.
Thank you to Josh Eagle and the Harvest Cities for their song Paper Stars. Should I look him up on Twitter, make sure he's not making.
Is it weird that I just had anxiety being like, oh no, because it is very similar to
Yeah, I know.
being
Yeah.
dad?
I,
For all intents and purposes, I have looked at Josh Eagle every now and then, and he seems like just a pretty cool dude.
he says, Happy Friday. Oh, oh,
Oh,
oh.
oh
No,
no.
no, it's good shit. Don't worry. Whew.
Do you have some bad sex writing for us?
You know I do, but I also have some Tinders.
I don't know if we have time for Tinders.
I'm just going to hit you with one then.
Okay.
So this person, their name is Margot. That's important.
Okay.
They say, getting lost in the supermarket as a child was scarring. My mama would call out my name, and everyone would call out Polo, drowning out my pleas for help.
Oh man, that's good.
That's 10 out of 10 for me.
10 out of 10. That's a right swipe immediately. Even if like, yeah, oh, that's great. Thank you
Yeah.
for bringing one that's finally good.
I actually went looking. That one wasn't even from our good friend. That was from me. I had to go find
Oh,
it.
hi. Nice.
Uh,
Okay, hit us with the bad sex rating.
So, as everyone knows, as you know, Dane, our erotic novel is burgeoning. It's coming soon, wildly, just all over all your collective faces. I regret saying that, but I've been doing some research, and you know what? Where else to research than with our good friend Bitch Williams? This is Dicked by the Dibbook, Monster Quickie, Book 1. I'm just gonna read out the back. Rachel Maddox is on her way home from a party where she just used her immense oral skills to please no less than 6 different men. But her night is just beginning, and that pretty little mouth of hers isn't about to get any rest. Before she knows it, a strange hobo is shuffling towards her.
Oh no.
Is he an ordinary street urchin, or a man about to be possessed by a terrifying demon known as Dibbook? Bitch Williams, the author of Savaged by Slenderman, My Lactation Consultant is a Lesbian Werewolf, the Bigfoot, You Are the Father, and Slammed by Santa, kicks off her budget price series of monster quickies with this horrifying and sexy new entry into the world of erotic paranormal tales.
I'm sorry, what was Werewolf You Are the Father?
Yes.
That's incredible.
No, sorry. Bigfoot, You Are the Father, and My Lactation Consultant is a Lesbian Werewolf.
Man, that Maury reference?
Right?
That gets me hard right away.
Now, do you want one review?
Yeah, give me one. Fuck it, we're already over. Give me one review.
3 stars. Short and strange and oddly hot. This one was just okay for me. Story is meant to be strange and weird and erotic, and it is. I like the other Bitch Williams book, My Lactation Consultant is a Lesbian Werewolf, better. I think the stinky homeless guy with the unwashed member and blood dripping on her head was a bit too much for me. But hey, monsters need love too.
Damn, I mean, technically this guy's not a monster, he's a demon. But hey, now we're splitting hairs. My name is Dave Miller,
And I'm Niall Spain.
and we have been your fuck buddies.
Be yourself.